The rain came down that night like some kind of verdict from the heavens. You know what I mean? Not just a drizzle, but a judgment, lashing the Dakota earth until you'd swear the whole world was trying to drown. And there I was, hunched over in the storm, rain streaking through my beard and down my neck. Everything I owned soaked to the bone. But I kept my eyes on that old graveyard on the hill. Didn't matter how hard the wind shoved or how cold the rain got. You ever have a promise etch itself so deep in you that it becomes part of how you walk, how you breathe? That was me, every month, for 4 years, riding out to those 3 stones under the old elm, one for my wife, 2 for my kids, talking to them like maybe somewhere in the thunder they could hear me, or at least I could pretend I wasn't all the way alone. But on this night, yeah, this one, the night everything changed, something was different. A whimper, low and desperate, barely audible over the storm. I felt my old instincts rise, the ones that had kept me alive as a judge on the circuit and a man alone on the plains. I drew my revolver. Nothing makes you more cautious than grief and a little too much experience. And I scanned that tangle of stones and mud, and that's when I saw her. She was crumpled in the dirt, dress torn, skin bruised, hair plastered to her face, looking for all the world like a ghost who'd forgotten how to vanish. When I knelt nearby and called out, my voice just barely above the rain, she flinched so hard you'd think I'd shot her. Young, maybe 22 or so, but the kind of young that's been aged by too much pain. "My name's Morgan Hayes," I said, slow and careful. "I've got a ranch a few miles from here. It's safe." She shook her head, lips trembling. "You don't understand. My soul, it's no longer pure." Those words, heavy as stones. But before I could say anything, a gunshot cracked through the night, mud exploding inches from my knee, and suddenly every muscle in my body remembered what it was to be preyed. I pushed her down, drew my weapon, eyes straining through lightning, and saw him, Silas Maxwell, the one name I'd sworn to carve on a bullet. The man who took everything from me and still walked free, his face twisted in the stormlight. "She's mine, Hayes," he called, voice mocking, like the devil himself had a sense of humor. I barely heard him over the roar in my ears, anger and terror all tangled up, but I got my answer off quick. "You'll have to kill me first." The firefight was fast and ragged, my first shot wide, my second catching his shoulder, spinning him around. He spat curses, retreated, but not before letting me know he'd be back. He always came back as soon as he vanished. I turned to the woman. Hannah, she said her name was, and she begged me not to leave her, eyes wide and terrified. I saw my daughter's face in hers, the way Emma used to look at me when the world got scary. I couldn't leave her, so I picked her up. She weighed almost nothing, just a bundle of bruises and fear, and carried her back to my horse. Then home.my place wasn't much, but it was solid, built after the fire that took my family. Just enough walls to keep out the wind and anyone who didn't mean well. I set her in my little girl's old bed, stoked the fire, tried to find the balance between decency and necessity as I left her dry clothes and a blanket, then waited outside the door, listening to her shiver. When she called for me, voice barely more than a breath, I cleaned her wounds, field medic skills I'd picked up before I was ever a judge, my hands steady even though my mind was racing with what this meant. This broken girl under my roof with Maxwell, now hunting both of us. "You don't even know me," she said after a while, as I handed her some broth. "Why help?" I shrugged, my back to her, feeling the old weight of guilt settle over me. "Let's just say I recognize what Maxwell does to people," I answered, and left it at that. As the days passed, Hannah healed a little more, got steadier. I taught her to shoot. Catherine's old revolver, pearl-handled and surprisingly heavy for such a pretty thing, and watched her go from shaking to steady, her shots missing at first, then clipping bottles, then shattering them. She said it felt powerful, being able to fight back, and I told her what I believed. It isn't the gun that's good or evil, it's the hand that holds it. One morning, after we rode into town for supplies, a risk I hated taking, but necessary, I saw the way the sheriff watched us, lazy smile hiding suspicion. He asked too many questions about my niece from Boston, and I lied without blinking, but I could feel trouble brewing in the dusty street. Kit, the storekeeper, caught Hannah outside and offered the kind of quiet help only women know how to give. And Reverend Wilson, an old friend, promised us sanctuary if it ever got too hot. But the warning signs came fast. A ransacked house, a doll's head severed and left as a message, carved words. She's mine. You're dead. I could see the guilt in Hannah's eyes, the way she blamed herself. But this was Maxwell's handiwork, and I told her so. This only makes me more certain, I said, that one of us isn't walking away this time. We decided to leave. Logic said it was the smart play, but my gut twisted at abandoning the last thing I'd built since losing my family. Hannah read it on my face, said, "This isn't them, Morgan. Their memory lives in you, not in these walls." So we packed what we could, rode out to Reverend Wilson's sister's cabin. Sarah Bradford, widow, tough as leather, and smart enough to make a fortress out of a farmhouse. Sarah, Hannah, and I, three people broken in different ways, spent those days barricaded, cleaning weapons, whispering strategy. Sarah taught me a new kind of courage. When she got stabbed behind the general store, she bled quiet, steady, not a word of complaint, just grit. She also had a plan. Use the hidden cellar for an ambush, not a hiding spot. When Maxwell and his men arrived, we waited in that dirt-smelling dark, hearts pounding, and when the boots finally clomped overhead, we let loose, shots ringing out, chaos above us, the element of surprise bloody and brief. But Maxwell's voice cut through the confusion, cold and clear, smoke them out. Kerosene poured, fire catching fast, and smoke thickening. Sarah's secret tunnel, bless that woman, got us out, but not before bullets chased us through the night. We ran, burning cabin behind us, bullets chewing dirt at our heels, until the woods swallowed us up. I in those trees. For the first time, Hannah stood up to me, refused to split up. "We stay together," she said, and Sarah backed her. We made for an abandoned trapper's cabin, patched Sarah up, and took turns keeping watch as dawn crept closer. The hours stretched, tension sharp as a knife. That night, in the half-collapsed cabin, Hannah told me about her father, Judge Blackwell, murdered by Maxwell after a trial gone wrong, his death pinned as a warning to anyone chasing justice. Suddenly, it wasn't just my vendetta, it was hers too. Both of us, marked by the same devil, we knew it was only a matter of time before Maxwell found us again. And we spent the long hours readying, rationing what little ammo we had left, reinforcing the one door. We talked about our pasts, our families, how Catherine was a schoolteacher who could quote Shakespeare or shoot a rattlesnake, how Emma, my daughter, wanted to be a judge, how Hannah's own mother died young, leaving her to find meaning in teaching. But as dawn broke and we braced for one last stand, something shifted. Hannah, battered, scarred, but unbroken, looked at me, her voice soft but strong. "It's not what they do to us, Morgan. It's what we do despite it." And I believed her. We weren't just victims anymore. We were survivors, partners, maybe more, holding the line together as the sun bled gold through the trees and the sound of hooves announced Maxwell's approach. I realized we'd become something new, not just people shaped by loss, but souls shaped by choice, ready to fight not just for revenge, but for a future that, for the first time in years, didn't feel impossible. So, yeah, I'm asking you now, because you've listened to all this. What do you think? About justice, about fighting for what's right, about whether a person's past defines them or just pushes them to become something more. Drop your thoughts below. Let's argue. Let's mourn. Let's figure out together what justice even means in a world like this.